Okay, guys, I have a secret to share today, or something that I want to reveal about me that I have not before. And if you've ever struggled to be creative or just motivated in your expert coaching business and you feel like you're not making as much progress as you want to make, I think you're really going to like this video. So lately, I just have not felt the same motivation and drive and desire to work on my business as I usually do. I've been an entrepreneur for 12 or 13 years now, and I've been used to feeling such excitement about work. Like I almost can't stop working. I used to work until 10 or 11 at night. My background is flipping houses, buying rental properties. I did that for 7 or 8 years in my first foray into entrepreneurship. That's how I achieved financial freedom. And I just remember being like a bottle of fire back then. And I was in my 20s. So maybe there's something to do with that. I'm 41 now, but something changed, right? Like lately, I'll get my computer and my coffee and go to there's this little marketplace by our house where I work that has a bunch of restaurants and shops. It's pretty cool. And I'll post up and I'll sit there and work for a couple of hours. And like, I almost can't start working until I have my coffee. This is my second iced oat latte of the day, unfortunately. And then the coffee hits and I can work for like a couple hours, but I can almost feel the tiredness in my bones, even while I'm buzzing on coffee. And then as soon as the 2 hours or whatever is up, I just hit this wall and I'm just like, ugh. And I just can't work anymore. And I just feel tired as hell and not that motivated. And it's really not like me to be this way. And I also know that there's no way I'm going to be able to take my business where I want it to be if I'm a sack of shit every day. And, one thing that's changed that I will mention is I have 2 kids now. They're 1 and 4 little girls. And they are my whole world. I spend a big part of every day with them. I stop working in the early afternoon every day and hang out with my family. And, I'm there for afternoons and dinner and bedtime and then all on the weekends. So that's what I'm doing about half the time or more. And it saps tons of my energy, right? But I just felt like there was something else at play. And so weirdly enough, I found out the answer, what I'm going to share with you, I believe is the answer through ChatGPT. I've been using AI to solve a lot of the problems in my life lately. Just as a side note, it's kind of nuts. If you don't like the idea of going to therapy to work through your issues, you can literally ask ChatGPT and say follow the, frameworks that the best therapists would use or the proven processes for somatic healing if you want to heal from something. So I've been using AI and ChatGPT to work through other crap and just limiting beliefs and things like that so that I can improve myself and grow and remove blocks and things like that. Anyways, so I ask it about my issue of just hitting that wall and not being able to work on my business every day. It's a huge issue, right? If you only get a couple hours of work in a day and then you're just feeling like ass, there's really no way you're ever going to get that far. And ChatGPT listed all these things out. It could be exercise, diet, sleep, all these things. And while there was some truth to all those for me. I do exercise consistently. I'm going to a hot yoga class here in like the next hour, and I eat really healthy. I lots of veggies. I eat a plant-based diet, so it's like lots of smoothies and salads, and I have been eating that way for over 10 years. And like, I have only recently started feeling this, like lack of energy to work. Right. And so I was like, I don't think it's diet. I don't think it's exercise. But one thing GPT said, it just made this little comment. It was like, you might be burning up your dopamine faster than your body can produce it. And I was like, what is that? Because I've heard of dopamine before. Like, obviously, everyone talks about dopamine and getting dopamine hits when you like check your email or check social media. I remember Tim Ferriss talked about like email is like a slow drip, like dopamine delivery machine. Like back when I read the 4-Hour Work Week, I should have not forgotten that. It would have helped me. More on that in a second. And so I was like, what actually is dopamine? I ask like back, and I find out that dopamine is actually it's like a chemical for motivation and desire. And I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know that dopamine is the chemical in your body that makes you want stuff. Like I really want to go after this or that. Like you know how it feels when you're just like so motivated and driven to achieve a goal, and you sit down at your computer and you're just like hammering away, building something, excited. You got all the motivation in the world. That's like what it feels like to have a full gas tank of dopamine. So that was the first thing I learned, is that dopamine is the chemical of motivation, of desire. And when you don't have dopamine, when you deplete it down, then you don't have the same drive and the same. And I was like, okay, well, this really is starting to sound like what my problem is that I feel like my gas tank of motivation and desire, just like I start the day with the gas light already on, and then I just run out, or like at 10 in the morning. And so then I started asking, like what depletes dopamine? And it's like, well, going after like little dopamine hits all day depletes it. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, if you check things all the time, like if you check social media, if you check email, if you check how your content is performing, if you like play video games and all this stuff. I was like, holy shit, this is me to a T. Like, for one, I was playing video games every day up until like a week ago. I literally packed up my gaming computer. It was in my upstairs office. I'm in the basement now. I packed the whole thing up and I brought it down here and I shoved it in the closet because I was so addicted to it. And so that was like one thing. And by the way, when I put it up for like the next 2 days, I kept getting these impulses to go play video games. I play this game called Counterstrike. I've been playing it for decades. I love that game. I'm going to go back to it one day, but not now. And so I put the computer up because it was a huge problem. But like video games is like a dopamine hit. And then I was like, well, what else do I do? Well, one thing I do is I look at my YouTube studio stats all the time. And the funny thing is nothing's even popping off in there. I don't have tons of views, or I make $5 a day in AdSense revenue. It's like, it's not that big of a deal, but I'm addicted to checking it. I'm also addicted to checking like some YouTube ads that I'm running now for my book funnel. Like, how is it performing? And some ads I run on Amazon for my books on there. Or if I post a reel, how many views did it get? How many of you have done that before? I'm sure We all have, because social media is literally designed to be like a dopamine dispensing machine. And another thing is checking my email. Like, I'm embarrassed to admit this, like that I was checking my email at least 15 times a day, like in between every little thing. And then checking LinkedIn. Do I have any DMs? Checking Instagram, and I actually keep all those apps off of my phone because I'm too addicted. So like if I download Instagram on this, I'm done. Like I'll look at it all day long. As a side note, I think that Instagram is literally like the meth of apps. It is so addicting. I do not recommend going anywhere near that app because they have mastered it in terms of like, you just can't, like, it's literally like you just, what am I doing? Like get it away from me kind of thing, at least for me. So I was checking email, checking social media, checking on my content, checking on my ads, playing video games. And then there's other things that mess up your dopamine that I was doing too, like drinking too much coffee. I'm going to take a sip here. You got to cut bad habits one thing at a time, right? I can't give up the coffee and all the other stuff all in one day. Anyways, so smoking is another thing. I like to smoke cigars, or I'll go to like the hookah bar and like puff on one of those things. And I've been finding like more of an urge lately to smoke. Like I've even considered going to get one of those vape pens or whatever, like for nicotine. Not the other kind. I already got those, don't worry. But I realize like I'm like a textbook example of someone who is depleting all their dopamine down like like really fast. Like I'm literally just checking, distraction, like no deep work, and just like, oh, I'm tired, coffee. Oh, I don't feel that good. Oh, smoke some nicotine, pour up a whiskey like to have with dinner. And I realized I was like, damn, like no wonder I feel like ass. No wonder my motivation lasts for 2 hours and it goes away. I'm like, and then I end up not sleeping as good because of the stimulation from the whole day of screens and coffee and all this stuff. And sleep is when your dopamine gets replenished. There's other things you can do, I learned, to replenish it, like getting some morning sunlight and exercise and all these. There's like things you can do to replenish it. But I was in this like negative perpetuating cycle or whatever of just, like stimulating myself with stuff all day and depleting my dopamine and then not sleeping as good as I could, so that I'm not even filling the gas tank all the way up for the next day. And then when the next day starts, I'm just, and the implications that this has, like if you're probably here because you are an entrepreneur, I'm guessing, or you want to start a business, or you at least are here because you have something you're working on that's important to you, or you want to do creative pursuits. I was actually talking with a couple of my buddies recently. They're in their 40s with kids like me, and they are like they're both musicians actually, as am I. I play guitar, sing, play drums. I have a drum set right here, actually. And they both said like one thing that they've found really difficult lately is having the energy for their creative pursuits. They're like, yeah, by the time I work and put the kids to bed, I just don't feel like picking up the guitar and writing a song. I just don't have it in me. And I totally understand what these guys are talking about because I feel the same thing too. And I'm just like, this is sad. I'm like letting the dream die for my music career because I don't have the motivation to work on it anymore. Like, what happened? But then the more I thought about this, I was like, maybe what's going on with me and my buddies is not that we're so tired from working the kids. It could be that we are depleting our dopamine down so much through all of the stimulation that we have available to us. Like reading news is another one. I don't do that, but I know a lot of people do. But there's just like so much stimulation if you tap into that, that maybe we all are just like ending the day with a depleted gas tank. And the more I thought about this, I was like, yeah, I know a lot of people that basically just creep through life like a zombie. And they have one hand has Instagram Reels open and the other hand has a Starbucks latte with 50 grams of sugar. And they're just like, like, give me something to feel, And it's sad. Like, we were never meant to live this way. Like, we are these, like, beyond powerful, magical, creative beings. And we have somehow gotten off track. And we're now seeking, like, our reward or seeking happiness through external things. Even with social media. Like, if I post this video and it gets a bunch of views, I might be like, oh, external validation. Let me check the stats all day and see how it's doing. Like that happens. Like if one of my videos got almost 90,000 views and when it was popping off, like I was looking at it like 20 times a day. It's sad to admit, but that's what I was doing because I was just like, this feels good. Something's working. And then when it stopped getting views, I was like, what's the point of my life now? It's so sad, but so true at the same time. I think people can resonate with that. But I believe that we have this opportunity right now. Like, let's enough with the sob story. Okay. I think I've laid out the problem that I'm facing and that I believe a lot of other people are facing, well enough here. And here's where I believe the opportunity is. And this is what I'm committed to doing. So I'm going to update you guys and you can hold me accountable to this. The opportunity is to not let this happen to us, right? To like dopamine, it's like an addiction. Okay. Just like if you have liquor in the cabinet, and you go and take a drink and you become an alcoholic and all of a sudden you can't stop. Like I keep alcohol at my house, but I only really drink it like with my wife or with friends. I don't have a problem with alcohol, fortunately. It's just not the thing that has ever drawn me in. It's all this other stuff that I get addicted to. But dopamine is like an addiction too. So but it just exists in your body. And then we do things to release it into our bloodstream or whatever, into our brain, our chemicals. So it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. It's like you got a dopamine tank in your brain. And if you look at Instagram, then a few drops are released and you're like, there's a little something there, right? That is an addiction that saps you of all of your life force, of all of that magic that makes you you. Like, you remember the last time when you sat there and you just had really great ideas, like powerful ideas, and you felt creative and you were just like, oh man, oh, there's my dog. Hey, Murphy. That's my buddy. You remember the last time you felt like that? When you were just like bursting with inspiration and optimism and motivation, and you felt like, the world was your oyster and you could make your vision into a reality, and you were so inspired and excited and you had like unique ideas that you knew were going to change the world. Sometimes that kind of thing doesn't happen until someone goes on a 14-day vacation and they lay on the beach for 7 days. And on the 8th day, they start to feel like themselves again, right? Because they're so tired. I know that's me. I need one of those right now. But like that type of thing, that's on the other side of this like dopamine addiction. Like if we can get past that, we can get back to our best selves, our real creative selves. Like the reason why my music isn't going anywhere right now, I can blame work and the kids and all that, like, but the truth is I'm not preserving the energy for it. I'm wasting my vitality. I'm depleting all my dopamine by the choices that I'm making. And I'm no longer okay with this. And so I'm deciding to make different choices moving forward. And what's funny is I looked at like, what are you supposed to do to fix this? What I found was it's like the routines of all the successful people that I want to be like. If you haven't ever read the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, I highly recommend that book. It's so critical, especially in this era we're in where, I mean, it's like AI is going to replace jobs and people are becoming less productive at the same time because they're just gassed and don't have any dopamine or they're addicted to all these things. Like we're like cruising towards a career crisis with the two, AI and the lack of productivity kind of converging. It's never been more important than right now to fix this, to be one of the rare few who can not be like a surface level, like email checker, dopamine addicted worker, and instead create real value, build real products, stuff that is going to move the needle and make a difference in the world. And the way that I am going to do this, and this is what I've studied that has worked for, like guys like Sam Ovens or Alex Hormozy or even like some of the world's most famous creators and like authors and psychologists like Darwin, Carl Jung. There's a lot of examples in the book Deep Work, but basically here's what it is going to take for me to be like them. I have to wake up in the morning and follow a routine. I got to be disciplined. I got to lock this piece of crap in a cabinet far away from me. I used to make the excuse that I had to have my phone on me because what if there was an emergency and my wife needs me? And sure, you can always make that argument. But the problem is that never happens. And then you just like ruin your life because the phone's always on you and you check it 6,000 times a day, right? I'm going to chuck it on the bed as I'm talking. Get away from me, phone. So like I've got to become the next level version of me, the one that sees how damaging all of this has been for me and will continue to be if I keep doing it. The one who like sets his priorities the night before and wakes up in the morning and follows a routine and flips open the laptop, not to check email, but to do deep work, to do predefined, deep, needle moving work to build real products and real value. If you don't know me, I help experts publish books and use them to get more customers. And while business is going well, better than it ever has before, there is just so much work to be done. Like I want to build the world's best program, like by far. And I have the vision in my mind for what that looks like. I know that what I'm going to build is going to be head and shoulders above everything that my competitors are offering. However, it is going to be a lot of work to build it the way I envision it, my product. And I am never going to get there if I do a couple hours of work and I'm gassed and I'm just like switching between social media sites all day and checking notifications and DMs and how many views I got and all this stupid stuff, right? That's not the way. The way is discipline. And so what I am going to be doing, and I've already started this and it's already been magical and challenging at the same time, is just having predefined times where I can check my email and reply, predefined times to see how my ads are performing, make sure I'm not wasting money on those, right? Like you got to look at that at some point. And then also implementing things like we already have no TV Tuesday at our house where we just don't turn the TV on at all on Tuesday. We've already noticed how much better that is, by the way. Like it just feels like those days we all just come together as a family and we connect more and we find something cool to do and end the day feeling like it was a good day. And so I suggested to my wife that we have a weekend where we lock our phones and we just don't have them with us. There's tons of videos on YouTube, by the way, where people did dopamine detoxes, and just go watch those and see what happened. It's pretty nuts. Like people will just go live in a tiny home in the woods where they don't have internet, and they just like crash for a few days, and then all of a sudden their vitality comes back, their juice comes back, and all of a sudden they're like having ideas and inspired, and they feel motivated and driven. This has happened to me before, by the way, where I've gone on a long vacation, and by the time I get back, I am so like chomping at the bit to get work done. I can't restrain myself. But I have not felt that in a long time, and it's because I've never let myself recover. And so I don't actually have all the answers as I sit here to you today, but I just wanted to share this because I feel like this is important to talk about. I do like, here's what I want to say. Like humans, we think we're so smart because we've created amazing things. But at the end of the day, like Jack Johnson says, humans are just animals with fancy shoes on. And we have all our shortcomings and our weaknesses and our downfalls. And we're not all powerful beyond measure. Sometimes life gets the best of us. People get addicted to drugs, and sometimes that kills them. They overdose or whatever. So we know it's possible to like destroy your life as a human being. I think that this dopamine addiction is a sort of slow burn way to destroy your life, to get to the end of your life and be like, damn it, I didn't never go for it. I never launched that business. I never published that book. I never went after my dreams. Why? Because they simply just depleted their chemical that is like the source of motivation. It's like you can't expect them to. If you took all of the testosterone out of a man's body, you couldn't expect him to be very masculine, right? Even if he tried hard, because he's missing the chemical. Or you couldn't expect him to put on muscle, or whatever the right analogy is, right? So we have to be really careful with this, because like, especially with social media, like Mark Zuckerberg and them, they're working with the world's top psychologists every day to try to find ways to make us more addicted to these apps so that we stay on them longer, and then they can run more ads and make more money. It's messed up, but that's literally what's happening. And it's just you and me, just a couple of regular people by ourselves, sitting at our home by ourselves, against one of the world's richest companies, pairing or teaming with the world's top psychologists. Okay. So it's dangerous. And I think it's also dangerous to to overestimate like how much you can do as a human. Like we're not that powerful. Always. We can be, but we also can give in to these weaknesses. And I think this is a huge thing. I know it is for me. And lately I've just had enough. Like my vision, what I want for my own success, what I want for the impact I want to make on the world. Like I have all these other books I want to publish. I'm like, God, I haven't made any progress on those in a while. I want to jumpstart my music career. I want to get us a freaking huge mansion here in Denver where we live and travel and go to Bora Bora and sleep in those straw huts on the ocean. I want to do all that stuff, right? But like the version of me, the way I have been is not the guy who's going to get that for me and my family and for my clients, right? Like that's the impact. I want to have like thousands of success stories where I helped an expert publish a book and it grew their business, and then their book changed lives and even saved lives. Like I know I can make a big difference with what I do, but I've got to show up differently and have more discipline in order to do that. And the last thing I'll leave you with is like, I've got to associate pain with checking things and dopamine. I've got to really internalize that stuff is going to lead me to more pain. I'm going to have to work harder. Success is going to take longer. It's going to not going to come as easy. Whereas discipline and deep work and not checking email, but like once a day, phone locked in the cabinet, and delayed gratification, that is going to be what I associate with pleasure. It sounds hard to even imagine that typing away on a Google Doc, writing your book or whatever, that you could associate that with pleasure when it takes so long to get reward for that. If it takes you 6 months to finish your book and publish it, it's like, I can't check Instagram that whole time. But that's the switch that you got to flip, because right now it's the other way around for me and for most people. Pleasure comes from dopamine hits and pain comes from deep work. So of course, when that's the way you're wired, that is a reflection of how you're going to spend your time. I hope that's helped you. Go out there and do some deep work. Start to cut the cord on this dopamine thing, okay? Do not let all of these sources of distraction ruin your chance to live the life of your dreams, to create what you want to create while you're here above ground, because we don't all have as much time as we think we have, and now is the time. I'm fed up. I'm doing something about it. I hope this inspired you. Share it with someone if you feel like they could get value from this, and I will see you next time. Peace.